Welcome back to Holy Fire Defense. I came upon this video. I've already seen what happened with this guy. But yeah, this guy was defending himself here in California. And they took his CCW for two dudes with guns running up on him to rob him at his own front door. But they took his CCW. So what they're saying out here is that if you're defending yourself, we're going to take your CCW. Which is the very reason why we get a CCW, for self-defense. But they're saying if you defend yourself against two criminals that are aimed at robbing or hurting you, we're going to take your CCW. You see how backwards that is? How evil and sick that is? So what they're saying is they want this man to be scared to defend himself, even if he has a CCW, and once again emboldens and empowers the perpetrators that are trying to hurt him. It's crazy.
For my next guest, it was like any other day. Work, the gym, returning home to his family, his wife, and his 5-month-old at home waiting for him.
Looks kind of me like that coffee helped him a little bit. Looks like the coffee kind of fell on dude and he hesitated so where he could pull his gun out. We'll see it again.
Returning home to his family, his wife, and his 5-month-old at home waiting for him.
Oh, he kind of threw the coffee on him, but that got him detoured and he was able to reach in and pull his pistol.
But as he was unlocking the door, two armed thugs shoved a gun in his face, tried to push their way through the door. Well, it was then that he did what any responsible concealed handgun permit holder would do. He decided to defend himself and his family, and a gunfight ensued. Now, everyone's safe, but those armed robbers are still on the loose. But even worse, perhaps, California.
Here they go, jumping the wall. They're on the loose. Still not apprehended. They don't know who they are, but they sure enough took his CCW, though. Man, if we don't start standing up for our rights, especially in California, this is ridiculous. It's like they tell you to follow the law and obey the law, and you do, and then they strike you for it.
Has revoked that man's permit to carry. Again, the Golden State values strike again. Joining me now is Vince Richie, the man who defended his family, and Chloe Anwar, who's a Second Amendment advocate and attorney. Vince, let me start with you. Tell us very briefly what happened.
Well, thank you very much for having me here. I was coming home after a day of work in the gym, exactly like you said, and the thing I never thought was going to happen happened. I turned around to the surprise of two armed gunmen trying to get into my home. And the first thing I thought was my family, and there's no way I'm letting this happen.
And do you carry regularly? I know you're a concealed carry permit, but do you carry regularly?
At the time, I wasn't really carrying because I never thought that I was going to have to use it. I never wanted to know that I thought that this was really going to happen. But after seeing this uptick in crime.
See what he's saying? He think he didn't ever have to really use it. And most people think that way. And then he says, well, after he's seen an uptick in crime and stuff, he's like, well, maybe I should start, using my CCW and carrying my gun. You can't assume and think nothing's going to happen. If you get a CCW, make sure you carry your gun. You live in California, I don't care. If you have your CCW and they're coming for you or whatever, you have to defend yourself. Let the chips fall where they may. You have to defend yourself. It's ridiculous that they even took this man's license when he's on his own property and two people jump his wall and run up on him when he's at his front door. That just lets you know how diabolical this has become. It's a witch hunt. Just like the witch hunt for Trump, now it's a witch hunt for anybody with a gun. If it's legal. Illegal, they don't care.
And homelessness and just became commonplace that robberies were going to happen. I said, this is a responsibility I need to take. But it's not even a CCW matter because I was on my own property. I was walking in to the driveway and the entryway of my house. So this petty attempt for them to strip me of my ability to carry outside of my house for something to happen on my property, it's just unexplainable.
I see what you're saying. Oh, DC has really strict concealed carry rules. You have to register one gun at a time. So is the gun you used registered as a concealed carry?
Yes, the gun, a Glock 26 is registered as my one concealed carry, which at the time, like I said, I never really thought I was going to have to
You could have
use
up to 3 in California.
I went about it the right way. I acquired it the right way. They granted me the right to carry. Now they're stripping me with the men at large that were looking for me and not giving me the ability to defend myself. And I hope Sheriff
Colion,
Luna
what's the
is
reason?
listening. Go ahead.
What's the reason?
I mean, I think it's pretty blatant what the reason is. California has had a notorious reputation for being anti-gun and anti-anybody being able to carry a firearm unless you're part of the government somehow. So this aspect of them stripping him of his ability to carry a firearm, especially when we're talking about a situation that happened on his property, it just reeks of their hatred for citizens, law-abiding citizens for that matter, being able to carry firearms to protect themselves.
Well, I have to say, Vince, Newsom did propose that 28th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which would, preserve the language of the Second Amendment, but then add a whole bunch of new requirements and limitations to gun owners.
Don't even mention Newsom with gun rights. He is not for gun rights. He is not for anybody having anything that protects a law-abiding citizen. He's not. That is not what he's about, no matter what he says.
Ownership in the United States that, they claim is, very, very popular and people would want. But he's notoriously anti-gun rights. I don't care what he tries to say. Newsom is one of the worst. In California, I think it's the second most, poorly rated state as far as gun rights in the United States. I think we'll even put up a graphic that shows us the worst states for gun rights in the United States. But Vince, is there any doubt in your mind that California at this point, especially where you live, it's a pro-criminal jurisdiction?
Exactly.
It's not pro-gun rights, people. It's pro-criminal.
Absolutely. The sheriff's attempt now at coming after me is petty. I think Luna should step up and actually represent the citizens, the good giving back citizens that give back through the community and not partake in the criminal activity that's happening, because they're not getting arrested. They're not going after them. They're trying to restrict me.
Yeah, the best states we just put up: Arizona, Utah, Alaska, and so forth. Washington, D.C., California, Maryland, New Jersey, among the absolute worst. And by the way, I want to bring this up. Colion, in Florida, violent crime fell by 32% in 2022. And then compared to California, while California violent crime spiked 13% last year compared to 2019. So what would you say to Newsom, Colion, about this approach to people like Vince?
And Newsom had just got up when he signed those new gun laws saying how much the crime had went down in California. And you see right there, it was a straight lie. They have no problem taking statistics and sweeping them under the rug and coming out with their own bingo hand-picked number that they just say, hey, this is what it is. And it's a lie.
We're trying to defend his family on his own property, given what the people of L.A. and L.A. County, especially San Francisco, are saying.
Well, first of all, I think first of all, Newsom needs to stop focusing on this issue from a position of control. Because if you're really talking about keeping people safe and saving people's lives, what you would do is you would empower people to be able to protect themselves, since it's clearly been demonstrated that the police can't be there. When Vince was at home and the guys were jumping over his wall, was Joe Biden there to help him? Was there a cop there to help him? Was Gavin Newsom there to help stop those criminals? No, they weren't. It was just Vince and those two guys. And yet and still, they create law after law after law, which makes it even harder for someone like Vince to be able to protect himself from two people with firearms. And then you mentioned the whole point about the 28th Amendment. The mere fact that he's trying to push this demonstrates how much he hates the Second Amendment, because if he understood the Constitution and the Second Amendment, it was written to tell the government what they can't do against our ability to own and carry firearms. But yet he's creating an entire amendment which limits that ability. That's insane to me.
Vince, you're going to get your concealed carry permit back if we have anything to say about it. Vince and Colion, thank you so much.
Hey,
this is what's going on. That man should by no means at all had a CCW taken away. At all. California is making a fool of itself. The laws that it's making, like I've said this 1,000 times, these laws are only for people who follow the law. And it affects us. People that don't follow the law, They are having a great time, robbing and pillaging and doing whatever they want. Got all their gun rights. They got the right to have a gun, whatever they want. They have a right to do whatever they feel like. Oh, but they're breaking the law. Actually, so they're breaking the law. And by the time they get caught, they've hurt so many people. And then when they do get caught, they just catch and release, like somebody fishing. Catch and release, let them right back out, so they could do it again and do it again. Look, I have no respect or regard for anybody trying to hurt innocent people. You running up on innocent people, you trying to rob innocent people, cowards. You just want to rob and pillage these people that ain't doing nothing to nobody. But that's how you are. You're cowards. You want to run up on people that are unprepared and victims in your sight. And that's what California wants us to be, victims. To get rid of our guns and lay down and just be bullied and ran over. It's obvious people in California, they care about their lives. But it's even more obvious that the people who run California do not care about those same people's lives. They care about their lives, but the government in California does not care about these people's lives. And that's what you need to think about, and that's what you need to know. And that's what you need to think about when you're in a situation. Forget what they're talking about. Forget all their laws, just like the criminals, whatever. You defend yourself and do what you got to do.